Oh, Harriet, here you are. I'm starting to suffer from intellectual solitude. Oh no, I adore my father, but he is no partner for me. As he ages, he no longer meets me in dialogue, rational or playful. Harriet, what would I do without you? My sister? You sound like Papa. Harriet, she's but 16 miles off, much beyond my day-to-day reach. Eliminated by way of matrimony. Papa still weeps when he thinks of her wedding day. Oh, Harriet, I have no better companion than you. Now, sit. Croissant? Oh, I started this one. But do tell me, pardon me, what has gotten you so excited? Compose yourself. Mr. Martin has offered you his hand. He proposed to you. Oh no, no. What do you want me to say? It's not my place to advise you on whether or not you should marry the man. He wrote you a letter. Well, show me the letter. Well, this is a very good letter. Oh, no. I won't be telling you what to do. Oh, Harriet, you do know what I truly believe. Those smooth blue eyes and all those typical graces must no longer be wasted on the inferior society of Highbury and its connections. The acquaintance you have already formed prior meeting me have been unworthy of you, and the acquaintances from whom you have just parted, although very good individuals, ought to be doing you harm. The Martins, they are very good people, I'm sure. Don't know them, not saying otherwise. They rent a tremendous farm, and Mr. Knightley, I know that much, who concept particularly of them, is very partial to them. However, they ought to be coarse and unpolished and very unfit to become your family-in-law. Harriet, I only want to detach you from your unhealthy acquaintance and introduce you into good society. You ought to think higher of yourself, my dear. You do not see what I see. You possess a candy, docile, grateful disposition. You are fully free from conceit. You are deserving of a better companion, I assure you. What? I know Mr. Martin is very obliging. I know he had long passed 3 miles round at some point in an effort to deliver you some walnuts, just because you had mentioned how fond you were of them. I know you had countless midnight walks with him. I know he had his shepherd's son into the parlour to sing to you, just because you had mentioned how keen you were on singing. I know you shared a dozen merry night games, and yes, I know every person speaks well of him, but he's a farmer. Mr. Martin, I consider, isn't a man of know-how past the line of his possessed business. Does he read? Is he educated? He reads the agricultural reviews. Okay, well, what about the romance of the forest, the kids of the abbey? He never heard of such books, I presume. And what do you imagine his age to be? Handy as 4 and 20? 24 years of age. He's too young to settle, my dear, and his mother is perfectly correct not to be in a hurry. In a few years, if he meets a woman with the same rank as he possesses, very important, with a little bit of money, marriage should be quite desirable. Until then... What do you mean, Harriet? 30 years old is as early as most men can have enough money to marry who are not born into independence. And I believe Mr. Martin has his whole fortune yet to make. But let us move on. What type of watching man? Mr. Martin, is he keen to the eye at least? Not good looking, under no circumstances handsome, you say? Are you joking? You must be joking. Pardon me? You say he's met me quite a few times? Well, that may be, and that I can have seen him 50 occasions, however, with no need any thought of his name. A young farmer, whether or not on horseback or walking, is the very final form of person to raise my curiosity, Harriet. The Martins are exactly the order of people with whom I feel I can have nothing to do. A degree or two lower might interest me. If they were very poor, I could hope to be useful to their households in some way, but a farmer can need none of my help, and is therefore as much above my notice as he is below it. That was him? Yesterday? On Downward Street? How can I forget? It was yesterday. And you remained with some strange man for a few minutes. I remember you came back with a smile on your face, and in a flutter of spirits I could barely contain you. So this was Mr. Martin? Very plain indeed. Well, I had no right to expect much, and indeed I did not expect much, but I had imagined him, I confess, a degree or two nearer gentility. But once again, I'm not here to advise you on whether or not you should marry. However, I laid down as a general rule, Harriet, that if a woman doubts as to whether she should accept a man or not, she certainly ought to refuse him. But you must be the best judge of your own happiness. However, a woman is not to marry a man merely because she's asked, or because he's attached to her and can write a tolerable letter. I said tolerable, not great. I think, Harriet, when you consider that your acquaintances with us, you've been many times in the presence of real gents. At Hartfield, you have seen very good specimens of very well proficient, very well-bred men. I must be surprised. Well, if after seeing them you might still be infatuated with Mr. Martin. I'm sure you had to be struck by his awkward look and abrupt manner yesterday. Well, compare him to other gentlemen, and you will see the change. Well, no, Harriet, you simply cannot compare him to Mr. Knightley. You would not see 1 in 100 gentlemen plainly written as in Mr. Knightley, but he's not the only one gentleman you will have been nowadays used to. What say you to Mr. Weston and Mr. Elton? I think very well of Mr. Elton. Compare Mr. Martin to any of them. Examine their method of carrying themselves, of strolling, of talking, of being silent. You ought to see the change. Well, yes, Mr. Weston is older, which makes his good manners the extra valuable. The older an individual grows, Harriet, well, the extra predominant it is that their manners must no longer be unhealthy. What is, well, satisfactory in younger years becomes detestable in later age. Mr. Martin is now awkward and abrupt. Well, what is he going to be at Mr. Weston's age? If I were to guess, I'd say he's going to be a wholly gross, vulgar farmer, totally inattentive to appearances and pondering of nothing but gain and profit. But I'm not here to tell you whether you should marry or not. It is your decision. Should you wish to give your hand in marriage to Mr. Martin, well, there would be consequences. That's all I can say. Let's just say that it would grieve me to lose your acquaintance, which needs to be the outcome of your marrying Mr. Martin. You would throw yourself out of all excellent society. Well, I would have to give you up. It pains me to imagine you banished to Abbey Mill Farm, constrained to the society of the illiterate and vulgar, all your existence. I ponder how the young man could have the nerve to ask it. He needs to have an effective opinion of himself. Really, Harriet, I cannot admit him to be your equal. I'm very surprised he ventured to send you the letter. Well, yes, he is richer than you, that is true, But surely he's your inferior as to rank in society. The sphere in which you strike is way above his. Well, yes, simply put, marrying him would be a degradation. Think of Mr. Elton for a change. He's excellent-humoured, cheerful, obliging and soft. He appears to me to be grown notably smooth of late. Did I not tell you what he said of you the other day? Well, come closer. He said you were particularly handsome. Well, look at you, blushing and smiling now. Mr. Elton is a remarkably handsome man with most agreeable manners. I have an idea. Did you ever have your likeness taken, Harriet? Did you ever sit for your photograph? On no account? Really? Well, what an amazing possession a just right image of you would be. I have the most marvelous plan. What say you? I draw your portraits and invite Mr. Elton to watch. He could take care of the framing and it would be an excellent opportunity for him to spend more time with you. Me? Harriet, you know I have none of the natural inducements of women to marry. Were I to fall in love, indeed, it would be an interesting factor. However, I not ever have been in love. It isn't my method or my nature, and that I do not think I ever shall. I'm sure I must be an idiot to change that sort of predicament of mine. You know, fortune I do not need, employment I'm not looking for. And I feel few married women are half as a lot of mistress of their husband's residence as I am of Hartfield, and never by no means would I assume to be so real and fundamental, so normally first and always proper in any man's eye as I am my father's. Simply put, my position is better than most married women. Oh, you worry I become an ancient maid, like Miss Bates. Harriet, don't be ridiculous. She is incredibly boring and silly. I am very satisfied there on no account can be any likeness besides being unmarried between the two of us. Under no circumstances shall I be a terrible old maid. A single woman with a very narrow income may be called such a name, although I despise it. I, on the contrary, would be a single girl of fine fortune. Do you see the difference? Well, must I spell it out? Being poor has the tendency to contract the mind and bitter the temper. If I know myself, Harriet, mine is a busy mind with a nice many impartial resources. And I do understand why I should be in need of employment at 40 or 50 than 21. Women's ordinary occupation of hand and mind will be open to me there as they are now. If I draw less, I shall read more. If I stop playing the piano, I shall take the cup at work. As for objects of affection, well, I will be very good off with all of the children of a sister I like so much to care about. My nephews and nieces to be around me at all time. I've no need for children. Do not worry for me, Harriet. I'm not concerned with getting married. But enough about me. Is there anything we should talk about? Any pressing matter? Jane Fairfax. Again. Please, Harriet, I can't hear that name anymore. I have to pay civilities to someone I do not like by means of 3 lengthy months. I'm already doing more than I wish and less than I ought. What do you mean, why do I not like her? Why should I like her? Yes, I admit she is a fairly accomplished young girl, but I will under no circumstances get acquainted with her. And her aunt is such an everlasting talker. No, everyone imagined that we would get along so well, being the same age, having lost our mother childhood, blah blah blah. No, not for me. As a matter of fact, I'm not feeling so well. I think I should retire to my bedroom. Pardon me, Harriet, I am getting tired. Yes, I should probably see if Papa is well and go to my bed. You would be wise to do the same. Well, thank you for visiting me, and don't forget this letter. Don't forget to answer to your beau. And I'm not telling you whether you should accept or not, but I think the answer is quite clear.